Hello, welcome to Washboardjim's Option Challenge. And we're going to go over stocks that you like to watch. We'll give it a little bit more time here and we'll get started. Grab you some water, grab you a piece of paper and some tickers, and we'll go over my account a little bit and how I'm playing it, and go over a few tickers. Beautiful day today. Can you hear me well? I got a new mic. So I got my watch list going. Another 90 seconds. Can you hear me well enough? Let me know. Aloha from the state of Missouri. It's a nice sunny day here in Missouri today. I'm a small business person, been in business for near half my life. Had an art gallery at one time, and now I own a janitorial business. I was selling Kool-Aid and had 4 Kool-Aid stands when I was 8 years old. So I've always had that dream to do something in my life, and now for the last 17 years I've been trading stocks. More or less been scalping and day trading most of the time, and here lately in the past couple of years I've started swinging a few stocks. But today I want to talk about my options challenge. Hello Johnny, hello Jeff, good afternoon to you. You can hear me well, I hope. Let me know. I got me a brand new mic, so tell me how the sound's coming across. Coming across good? Well, I started an options challenge at the first of the year with $1,000, and now I've got it up to $6,700. And once I got it to $2,000, I stripped it down and took $1,000 and opened up another account, because I was feeling like I wasn't getting, since they did Wall Street reform, they cut out and they added the PDT rule, which I think hurt a lot of small investors with small accounts. So this is my 6th account that I've done now in a small challenge. Sounds just fine, great. And so I'm pretty well much know how to get them started. You know, if you start out with $1,000, it's not that easy to really, you're probably going to bust it a few times and keep adding money into it until you get down to a system. And a system is what you got to have. So I moved these sessions from Saturday to Sunday, and then I started doing the live broadcast on my options challenge on YouTube every day. I did it 4 days in a row last week. and made about $1,000. Added that to my account. And so, I've got a margin account, and then I've also got a cash account. And then I'm going to be very transparent when I'm doing this option challenge. I think that's very important to be transparent, let people know that you're actually doing the trades and you can see them happen, live. Although there is a 7 to 14 second delay on YouTube, later on, if I get enough people on YouTube here, I'm going to go ahead and open up a room, and we'll have us a small little, little room, a little community club that we can all trade together. I've had many rooms ask me to join them, but I think I need to do something on my own. Kind of, it'd be probably a little bit easier if I wasn't doing it on my own. I'd be just kind of laid back, and so I'm going to challenge myself. And this is a challenge account. My challenge is to be able to become a better swing trader, and I'm not the novice options trader. So I want to become a better options trader, and I can already see that happening right now. It took a little while. It took me about 6 months to figure out a system that worked for me. And I've got a few followers that follow me in this account, and we're just going to try to build it up. So the 2 trades that I took Friday, and then I'm going to go ahead and talk about my strategy. Let's go ahead and talk about my strategy now. Let's use an example as Baba right here, and we'll open this up. I'm up about $60 on this trade right now. So last week, I don't like to trade mostly during that week, the weeklies. I like to go out a little bit farther. It's either a month, or if I see a good runner, I can go out 2 weeks in advance. And then if I do go into that week, that when the expiration comes, I want to try to be out of the trade by Wednesday. And that's been working for me in a way. And if I'm in a losing trade that I think for some other reason I missed the criteria, or maybe the news is just bad, or the momentum is just going in a downward path, I want to go ahead and try to cut my losses as fast as I can. Now, if it's a momentum trade and it's gone down and found support, I like to add on to it. So I got into the Baba call Friday, I think. Yeah, I got in it Friday. Let me pull this up first. I got in the April 30th, 2021 strike at, April 30th, the 235 strike. And I made my first initial purchase at 215. And that was pretty much at 10 o'clock my time, which is about an hour and a half after the market's open. And then it kept on going down, and I bought me another one. And then it went down a little bit farther, and I bought another one. So I cost averaged down. I don't go in big at first, and probably 80% of the time that I do get in a trade, they do pull back. But at least I'm committed in the trade. So I bought 3 of them contracts, and my average now is at 198 compared to the 215 that I began with. I put in a little bit more money in it. I got about almost $700 in this trade right now. And I don't hardly ever go over 1,000 unless I'm really hot on something. And then I'll bring it up to, 2,500 at the most, 2,000. I made a real good play on Tesla last week. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so I'm at an average of 198 right now, and the option's worth 218. So come Monday, I think Baba's going to bounce up a little bit more, and if it doesn't break a certain resistance I'm at, and I'll pull that up right now, we're setting up in a pretty good little symmetrical flag. So it's either going to go down at open and then bounce right back up and try to break a certain resistance level. And that's going to be this point right around 232. We did close at 232, but it's getting ready to break right here. It's either going to go either way, but the momentum for this stock to me right now is up. Now the bears have been hitting this pretty hard. Once it has a nice little spike, they'll come in here and short the thing. And they did that on Friday. And I have to start to sweat it a little bit. Let me see here. We'll magnify this up. Right here into close. And right, within probably about 10 minutes, the thing just went ahead and bounced right back up. So they're wanting back in this trade. And then they got in, Fat Finger got in here somewhere and brought it down all the way to 231. But I think we can break that triangle. I think we're going to go up on it, and I got a certain target that I want to hit on the strike. Now, anybody that's followed me knows that I'm real good at my extended trend line pattern. It's a way that I like to trade, and it's not run on algorithms or it's not run on computer thingamajiggers. I just put them together myself. I look for places of consolidation and places of chart patterns and draw trend lines where they mostly meet on a horizontal line. So we're going to go ahead and check this out. We're going to pull this up to a 20-day. There's 3 different time frames that I like to use when I'm looking at a stock, and basically that's the let me get a drink of water here. That's the yearly daily, and right now I'm showing you my SMA chart with a 9 EMA right here. So I've got the 200, I've got the 50, and I've got the 21 SMA, simple moving average. It works very well for me. I like to keep it simple, and I like to keep it fresh, and I like to keep it clean. So when I'm drawing these trend lines out, we're going to go ahead and just kind of erase all these out here. I'm going to give you a little chart lesson. We had a nice little bump on this trade, and I got in this trade before that news came out that Jack Ma had supposedly, the Chinese government had supposedly fined him, and that's why this stock pulled back as bad as it has, because it's just a lot of uncertainty in the trade, and it's been doing it for about 6 months. So I think once we start to consolidate and we push a few of these bears out, we're going to be breaking some resistance levels, and they do have a pretty good target on this up to 300. This stock's worth a lot more than $300 a share, in my opinion. It's worth about 5, maybe 6 to 1,000. It's another Amazon, but now they're wanting to get into the smart car. So they invested a bunch of money last week into the smart car, and that was in the news right here, $7.7 billion. So there's some forward guidance on this that they got some pretty good ideas that they want to get into other kinds of businesses, and I think that's just great. I think it's really great because of the way the EV cars are starting to pop up right now. So we're going to try to draw some trend lines. And it's kind of sloppy, I think, on this chart because it's just been so uncertain. But I was certain about when I got in this trade before this big spike up to that 50. And that's the 50 SMA. So it's always good to have these 3 moving averages when you're looking up a yearly daily chart. And we've kind of pulled back on it. We've had our 5-day pullback, and then we start to rebound, and we're starting to break some resistances. If we can get past this 9, I think we'll definitely run up and hit that 50 again, and that might be my exit spot unless I see something in the tape which is showing me who's buying and who's selling, and that appears right over here. If you have TOS, you can just hook that up. I used to read the level 2 a lot, but a lot of times it just kind of confused me, so I just started reading the tape, and I've become, I've always read the tape for the 17 years I've been trading. But I wanted to see what kind of activity was going on in level 2. I bet you it is good for the call debit spread. It's a safer bet, safer trade. Now, I've been just playing calls and puts on the thing. So we're going to go ahead and start drawing some trend lines. We had, 3 green black crows right here on the way back down, which is telling me the buyers were still in the trade. And then we had this little candle right here. And I'm going to look this up. I have this, let me see here what kind of candle that is. I think I might have called it wrong the other day. No, I called it right. It's called a Dragonfly Doji. Now, if you look up Dragonfly Doji, that's a bullish candlestick. Let's see if we can find a diagram of it. That's what I like about the internet. You can look this stuff up, man. It's so easy. And I've been really getting into the candlestick parts. Candlestick. I just love these candlesticks. It's allowing me to get into the trades before others do. You know, for example, there's you got your Dragonfly Doji right there. Got one right here. We'll magnify this up if I can. That's a Dragonfly Doji. So that's telling me that this stock's getting ready to move up. We have kind of one right here. It's kind of like a little hammer. Same thing happened right here. Now, what then you have what you call a gravestone, a gravestone doji, and that's when you got the wick that's above the candle. That's usually a bearish sign that we're going to have, and we'll see if we can pull that up here. See, here's another example of the dragonfly, how she pops up. There's your standard doji. But I always like to look at them. It's time to go long. Once just love these candlesticks right here. That's just a good sign that we're going to be going up in the trade. And then you got what you call gravestone doji, and that's usually a bearish one. And these here can go either way. These are just a long-legged doji. They can go either way. You got to be watching the tape. But a lot of times when you see this one here, you're going to be going up probably 90% of the time. So that's something to keep an eye on when you're in these trades. Dragonfly Doji. And we're going to go ahead and start drawing some trend lines in here. I'll magnify this up a little bit. This is where I got in that trade at first and woke up the next morning and the thing ran up almost $1,800. I got out of it right around 13. It hit 15. And then it started pulling back. It did it a couple of times, so I was kind of getting a little antsy, and I went ahead and took my profit at $13.50. Made a grand just waking up, sleeping in, waking up that morning. I got in at the perfect time because the news wasn't out yet, and I didn't know the news was coming out. Then you had that big old green candle come in, and bam. So she's pulled back, and then we had that Dragonfly Doji, and I think we're set up to break this 50 or this 9 EMA come Monday and try to run it up to this 50. So we're going to draw some trend lines on here and try to find some support levels and resistance levels. We definitely got a resistance level right in here off these candles right here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw me a little trend line all the way across right there. In fact, I want to magnify it up because I want to get it perfect. Bam. And then we'll just go ahead and get rid of this, make it a little bit bigger so we can all see it. So the object, like I said, I'm doing this live throughout the week to let you all see how easy, or not how easy it is, but just to verify that, you could follow me along in some of these trades and we can talk about them, and you can also give me stocks to look at when the market starts to slow down. So we've got another support level right in here, and I'm going to go ahead and draw this because I'm looking in this spot right here where we come down mostly, and then I'll just kind of draw a line and see where they meet up. And I really like the gap right in here, and you see that candle hit right there, and then we hit right in here, and then we had some resistance levels right in here. So that's going to be the resistance that we got to break, is going to be that 233.25. We're going to bring it up a little bit more and look for another resistance level. And that right in here in these candles right in here, where you had that low, then you had this high where it met up there. You kind of see that where it kind of had an equilibrium all the way across. So we're going to go ahead and draw a trend line right there. That's going to be our second resistance level. And that runs right into that 50. I just now noticed that, which gives me a double confirmation that we could hit that spot this coming week pretty easily. I definitely think we're going to hit that 50. And if we can break that 50, we're going to bring it up here to the top of these other three candles where we had that high at. So I'm going to go ahead and draw me a line across where I think we have more or less an equilibrium of the body. And when I do these, the body of the candle is more important to me than the wick. The wick tells me about the buyers and the sellers. We have an equilibrium right here on this here, I'd call a spinning top. And I like spinning tops too. But I'm going to be watching that tape. So I'm just going to go off the body of this candle right here and draw me a trend line. Now we're going to magnify this up one more time and pull this back one more time and see if there's anything I missed. And somewhere in here, we need to find us another little equilibrium. I see these two bodies of these candles right in here. And I'm just kind of drawing them along. And that looks like a pretty good spot. We have one right here too. Then we're going to take this to the 20, and we're going to pull back. We're going to look for a support level. Because I always like to look for resistance levels, and I always like to be prepared when it comes to buying the support. So I'm going to go to this dragonfly that I talked about earlier, which is a bullish candle. And once we busted above that dragonfly, the next leap, we got to break this candle right here. So we're going to draw a trend line right here on this, right here. Bam. That's going to be a support level. I don't want to see it go no lower than that 229.78. Now, if it does, we're going to pull up the 20-day and see if I can see anything different. So we go to the next chart I go to when I'm drawing these out. I'll go to the 20-day 1 hour. And I'll look for any places that I think I did miss. And right now, you can see that we did have some highs right in here. And I do really want to go ahead and put that trend line in there for a support level or a resistance level. And we're going to draw that in. And I kind of like this spot for some reason because of the way it's come up and it's hit 4 different times and pulled back. So to me, that's a very strong resistance or support. And we're going to change that to red. And then I want to go on down here and look for another support level, which I think is no lower than this 227.90. And that's right where that dragonfly doji was on the daily. See, we're setting up to what I would call a symmetrical flag. So I'm going to draw this symmetrical flag in. And I'm always looking for chart patterns. When you look for chart patterns, it gives you either it's going to be a bullish or a bearish trade. Now, I don't know if I have this certain diagram. Let me look over here real fast. It either tells me that it's bullish or bearish. I know it's symmetrical. I do know that. So it could go either way, but the momentum in this trade, I think, is in an upward trend. And soon we're going to be running out the bears. So let's go ahead and draw this flag in. You always got to be looking for chart patterns. Chart patterns will make a tremendous difference in your trades. And I'm going to use the body of the candle and just draw it all the way across and hit that body right there and extend it to the right. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to use the body of the candle and run it up to the body of this one and extend it to the right. So there's my flag. Now, usually at open, this thing could pull back and then the buyers will start coming in. You know, pre-market is especially early when these suckers get in here. There's a certain amount of, I call them scumbags, that like to go ahead and short the stock because they can't trade during market hours. They don't know how to trade that. They just look for the breakouts and try to short them. So we got 3 support levels on this trade. Actually, I want to keep this This is a pivot point. This is what I would call a pivot point on a 20-day because we had rejection as it started to break up here. And then so to me, that is the pivot point. Can't talk much about this huge gap, but when you have a huge gap like that, you might want to try to short something. I mean, that was huge, and it was just off news, and it was up like $22 that day, $23. Actually, it hit 46 high after hours. So they were still wanting to get into the trade. But definitely it's pulled back pretty hard. And then now we're creating that symmetrical flag, which it's either going to go either way. So we've got a support level down here no lower than that 226.47 for a double bottom too. If it decides to pull on back and something happens. But being as I have a small account and I've run this up so well, I don't want to take too much risk. So if this thing pulls back a little bit, I might add on, and that depends a lot if I have a day trade left. Right now, I don't have a day trade left. So if I add on to it, I'm not going to be able to get out of that trade that day. So if it breaks out, I might want to go ahead and get out of the trade and take profit and look for another pullback. And I'm not. This is one of my go-to trades. Tesla's definitely my go-to trade. I've been trading that for 10 years, almost every day. I look at it first thing in the morning. I usually get something out of it. I've only lost 3 times in Tesla in that 10-year period, and I've traded it over probably 1,000 times or more. So let me get back to the chart. So these are going to be our support levels. These 3 right here, it's going to be that 231.74, then this other one at 229.78, and at 227.85. And the resistance levels to break, we're going to draw a trend line right in here. That's a hard resistance level, and we're going to draw that right there. So we got, if we can break that 50 that I showed you on the year, let me pull this up again. If I can break this 50, that'll be a sweet thing to happen. I might just go ahead and hold on to it. If I can't break it and we climb back up here next week and I still see the momentum going up and we break that out of that triangle and hit these other resistance levels, I could get out of stock on Monday or Tuesday. It depends. But I want to be out of the trade by Wednesday. So time's starting to cut short on that weekly, and you'll see a lot of depreciation in the option. And then if it has great news or it starts to pick up momentum, you can bounce up. And they're a lot cheaper too than if you go out farther out. And I've realized that too. But I very seldom play that same week unless there's a run, a certain, a periodic run where I think it's definitely going to run up and I can get in and out of the trade. I do have to have a day trade to do that in. So that's going to be BABA. And then I'm going to go ahead and look at Tesla. And welcome to the room there, RJ, Sandy. Good morning. Let's go ahead and check out Tesla now. I talked a little bit about the option. This will be recorded, so you can always go back and look at it. But I think to become a better, well-rounded trader, I'm a technical trader. I'm not a fundamental trader by far. I'm definitely a technical trader. And I just like to trade off chart patterns, and I like to look for strength in them chart patterns. And I always have a reference to where I can go back and forth and see what kind of patterns, and I can always look them up on the internet if I start seeing a chart pattern. This is a inverse symmetrical flag. And we've had these 3 black, I call them black crows, where they just pulled back. And usually after the black crows, and we can break this resistance level on that first crow or that third one, we'll start to create some soldiers. And they're called 3 white soldiers. And they'll move up, and then that resistance level I think is going to be right there at 238. And if I can't break that, I'm definitely getting out of the trade. And that option ought to be looking pretty good by then. Now, if I feel like, I've got a pretty good gut feeling about things, and if I don't feel right, I'm going to get out of the trade with a small profit and still be happy. So we're going to look at Tesla. Tesla I'm really excited about. They're going to have earnings this week. And I've traded this I think almost every day in the challenge. And we're going to go ahead and clear this all up. Well, first we're going to look at it on the 20-day. And I can hardly read it there. Daily 1 minute. I'm going to just clear it up. Start fresh. Usually I like to keep these on here, but so we're going to go back here to the yearly. We're definitely creating another flag right in here. See, it's another one of them symmetrical flags. So this thing's going to pop. It's either going to go up or going to go down. And the best way to trade this, and it's getting bad news. It's just constantly getting bad news. Last week, it was a couple of things. It was Well, it's three things. That wreck that happened with the death of them two, and they saying so they wanted to have an investigation to see if it was an autonomous driving that caused the wreck or not, or if it was just malfunction of a human being. And then they had a wreck in China on that big highway, so they cut all the cars off on there, and then they had the I forgot what the test driving people, the consumer goods. They came out and tried to drive the car without sitting in the driver's seat, and the car ran. So to me, that wasn't really a good one to be calling out. But still yet, they still keep coming in with the bad news and the bad news. Now, I've noticed a lot of old bears that used to be very bearish on Tesla are now turning bullish. And I'm getting even more bullish as days go on because they've got the IA coming out pretty soon. And then they got the Mojo coming out. And it's a lot of people think it's just a car company. And it's a lot more than a car company. And they're years in advance of any of these new EV cars that are coming out. Years. 3 to 4 to 5 years way in advance. It's just great to have a car that can run on a computer and it eventually can give you better gas mileage, a fine tune-up just from the main computer to your car without having to go to a shop and having it worked on. The parts are going to wear out and you're going to have to get them replaced. That's going to be true. But also the taxi. I mean, they're talking about having 8 million taxi cars coming out that will cost you about maybe 15 to 20 cents a mile to drive. Can you imagine how much it costs to drive a car with the gasoline and stuff? I mean, it's just incredible what's going to happen in the next 5 years, 10 years. We're going to see these Teslas everywhere. They're going to be building new plants. They've got the battery thing down. They got SpaceX. They've got shingles. They've got everything. So I'm bullish, more bullish about Tesla than I've ever been. Now we've got an equilibrium right in here where it's hard to beat a resistance level, and you can see it right here, and you can see it right here. So that, to me, this is a low support. And this thing could run back and hit that 558 and be a very strong buy. And maybe after earnings, we're going to get up here and we're going to double top. We could probably get to 771 for sure. But there's a flag going on right here. And you can see it. I can see it. And we're going to draw that flag in. And that's telling me that we're getting ready to squeeze here pretty soon. We're going to draw that flag right there. Then we're going to come to the body of this candle and run it up to right about in here. So that's definitely a bullish flag. And I think we could pull back. Now this stock's fun to watch in the morning. This, if you want to trade Tesla, that first hour of the day is the most important hour. It's going to tell you if you're bullish or bearish on the trade. Then we got another trend line that's real solid right in here. Now after I get done with this, we're going to go over some stocks that you all like, that you have on your mind. And then I'll do a final review again on the challenge just in case some people showed up late here. And I'll do a breakdown on PLTR. Now, Baba, like I said, it's a little more riskier of a stock, so keep that in mind, Jeff. You're going to have bears coming in here, so I think the debit spread's a great one to be playing it with. Right here, you see where we tried to break resistance level and we couldn't do it? Now that becomes a support. And I talk about this a lot of times. An old resistance level or an old support level can become resistance, vice versa. So like if we break up, this was a resistance at one time and we break over it, that now becomes a support level. Now this is going to be what I would call a pivot point in the last 6 months on Tesla right in here at 709.44 or pretty close to that vicinity. And I'm just looking for consistency when I'm drawing these out. Then I'm going to draw another support line right down here at the bottom of this candle. This one right here. That baby right there. Actually, I don't know if that was the one or not. I think it was. Then we'll draw one here at the base of this body of this candle here at 704 that we created the other day. Let me see if I'm right. No. I got to go back here. Yeah, we'll leave it on there. Then I'm going to go ahead and put another trend line where we bodied out right here a couple times. It looks kind of messy right now, but when we get to a lower time frame, you'll see what I'm talking about. See, we tried to top here. We had a hammer. Then we had this one right here. So we're going to go ahead and put a smack down on that right there. Then one more right in here off this candle right here. Not going too far out, but they'll probably meet up with a lot of these other candles that are over here. Then we're going to take it to the 20-day 1 hour. Don't look like I missed much at all in this thing. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Now your solid support level is going to be this area right in here. No lower than 704. That first one is going to be right here, right around the 717.64 area. So if that thing pulls back right to that and holds this symmetrical flag in place, that'll be my entry level. Right there, and plus you have that 200 on the 20-day 1 hour hitting that trend line right at 718.24. So anywhere between 717.64 and 718.24, I think we'll pull back, find support level, and then bounce on up and break this hard resistance at 742.51. We've got to count this one right in here too. So we're going to draw a trend line right there at 734. And that's, again, is where that symmetrical flag hits that trend line. So that's going to be a hard resistance. You got two of them. It's going to be a hard resistance channel. So I'm going to color this in. This is what I'm going to be looking to break come this week. I think we're going to bounce up. It'll be an earnings play. And then people will start taking, it'll be very volatile. But everything's telling me that next week's going to be bullish on this flag. How I play Tesla, and I've had people watch me play it last week, and people that follow me for a long time. If this thing's pulled back right at opening, that's when I want to get into the trade. If it pulls back right at opening and it runs like into that 200, see how strong it is on that 200? I'm going to be bullish on the trade because it held that 200 on that 20-day 1 hour. So that's going to be the resistance channel that we got to get to. And I think we're going to see 742.51. And if we break past it, we can run it up here to 745.83. Right there. And then right up in here. Right there at that 755 level. And we could end up double topping if the news is great. In the long term, and you get a good pullback on this, I would invest long in it. I do have some shares that I'm long in it in my big account, and I've held them all the way down there from 180. And I'm still in the trade, and I'm still holding on to them. I think this thing's going to shoot up and get up to 1,000, and maybe back to 2,000 in a couple of years. That's how excited, because they're going to start raking some money in on these computers, the Mojo, and then also on the AI. I think they're going to be raking some big bucks in that when they get that all focused out. And then they've also won the contract from NAFTA to fly to the moon. And then they're talking about going to Mars, and they just landed a spacecraft up to the space station just last week. So that's huge it's a separate entity, but it still tells you that there's a lot of momentum and a lot of good things going behind Tesla and Elon Musk. Now, if anything ever happened to Elon Musk, I would probably turn real bearish on it and play it the other way. So keep an eye on it. If this thing pulls back in the morning, see if it runs into that 200. And if it does on the 20-day 1 hour, that's time to take the trade. And I really like this level here at 717, 718 area, a little above that. And the resistance that we got to break next week is going to be this 745.83. If we don't break it, I'm going to probably I'm not in the trade right now in my options account, but I have a pretty good idea I'm going to be trading it a couple times next week. It might even swing it. So that's that. Always remember to, when you never stop learning in this business. You never stop learning. And I'm going to go ahead and make this screen smaller so you won't have to see my ugly face. We'll get into some other stocks. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and talk about one more that I'm in, and that's Nile. I'm bullish on Nile too. I'm up on Nile right now. I got in at 233. I just got one contract, and we're at 250. I also scalped this in my other account. Had it for a couple of days. Called the bottom of it. If you follow me, you would have got in that trade and done pretty well in that trade. But I'm in the April 30th for next week, a $40 strike. So here's another one that I'm going to be getting out of pretty soon, before Wednesday, if not on Monday. If we get a good bounce on Monday, I'll get out of the trade and take $100 and add it to my options challenge. But I had Tesla last week, and let me see if I can go back to this one here. I want to go back to this trade I made. This was an important trade that had me a little worried. If I find it here. I had 7 contracts. $375, $350, $325. Then I got in this one here at $315. And I ended up with 7 of them. Now that trade right there was a difficult, and that was on the 21st. So let's go back here on the 21st. That was on this day right here. This was a killer day. This trade. So I'm sitting here buying this option on this big old candle right here. And this is what you call more or less a hammer. And I was buying the contracts, just one right after another. And it went all the way down. And I was down about $400 on this trade at one time. And then it started bouncing up. And let's see if we can go to the 5 minute on the 21st. Yeah, right in here. I mean, if I'd had enough gumption on this trade, when I took this trade right here, I got out of it once it hit this 200 right here. And I was doing pretty good. I mean, I made $300 on it. And I had 2,100 or 2,000 and something invested in the trade. But I didn't think that we'd break that 200. So once we busted above it and I hit that resistance line I had at 717, I got out of the trade. And then all of a sudden, she just skyrocketed. And if I'd have held that trade later into the day, I'd have made $4,500 on that trade. And I had some in my personal account that I held on to, but this would have been a big boost. I came out green with about 300, but if I'd have held it like I said, that would have been probably my biggest trade that I've ever done in the options challenge, or it would have been. It'd been 4,500, and I'd almost hit my 10,000 that my goal was meant to hit at. So I got a little excited. I pushed the button out because I was fighting it so bad right in here for the first 5 to 10 minutes, and even pulled back when it was coming up. And I was going, oh man, I don't know if I can handle this anymore. And then when we had the nice breakout, I just said, I'm getting out at the 200. But that was probably my biggest mistake last week. And I think it happened on the 21st. So it happened on the first or second day that I started this live broadcast. And it's just something that, it was nice to have the winning trade. And then I would have probably got a little nervous right in here and would have sold it probably too. It depends on how that daily 1 minute chart was set up. But I've realized a lot of times I get out too early, but I'd rather be green and then be stuck in a red trade. So it's always a constant fight with the bulls and the bears in this stock. And there's a lot of bears that's still bearish on it. But like I said earlier, some of the old bears that are fundamental traders are starting to see the light. So that's it for that. And we've got another hour and 5 minutes, and we'll start going over a few stocks that you like. Hello, Steve. You're welcome. And if you got a ticker you want me to look at, you just go ahead and type it in. And we'll go on from here. We've got 9 people in here now. This is a live broadcast of Washboardjim's Options Challenge. I do this live every day for the ones that showed up here lately. I do it live every day from open bell to close. And I'll just show you how I'm trading my challenge, and then I'm here to help you. I'm looking for swings. Now, I didn't talk about that. I just talked about the day trade aspect of it. So if I get my day trade out of the way, I'm looking for swings after that first hour and a half. When stocks start to pull back, I'm looking for opportunities to swing 2 or 3 of these trades to the next day. So I want to buy them. I want to buy these breakout stocks that pull back to support, and I think still have some momentum into it, because your sellers will come into the trade, and that's a perfect time to get in these trades. And I'm looking for double bottoms. I'm looking for triple bottoms. I'm looking for some kind of chart pattern or some kind of candlestick that allow me to get into the trade and swing it overnight. And then my process is, if it's up and for some reason it's up, I'm going to go ahead and take my profit. I'm getting out of the trade, and I'm going to keep doing that. And there's many a times where that has actually worked for me, because throughout the day, let's say you had a nice little breakout and then they pull back, and it happens 95% of the time. They pull back, and I'd rather get out of there at an initial bounce and take that profit and then wait for the pullback. And if I can find a double bottom or a triple bottom or some kind of inverse head and shoulders or some kind of bullish pattern, I'm going to get back in the trade and do the same thing over and over again. Now, Johnny watched me a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, play just 5 stocks. Just 5 stocks all week long. And I was able to get a trade out of every one of them stocks for that 5-day period. So I always talk about how important it is to keep a watch list. And this is the watch list that I started on 4/20. These all were green on Friday, every one of them. Every one of them. So you're allowed to copy some of these down, but it's good to create a good watch list and keep it fresh, keep it simple. If you're a beginner, keep it small. If you're more advanced, more of a novice, take it to 20. Have 20 on that list and weed them out. I mean, if they're not doing any good, weed them out. You know, I've been following PayPal for years. I've been following Disney for years. I've been following NVIDIA for years. Airbnb is one of my favorite IPOs that have come out. Chewy is a no-brainer to me. I called this at $73. Now it's at $80 or $76. Fubo's had some drama here lately. It was a bottom play. Baba, Tiger, Boeing. I've hardly ever done wrong with Boeing. Boeing's at 238. NNDM, I called this one out last week. It bounced up. The next day, I was impressed. I got out of the trade. Citibank, I called it last week. Now, this one, I took a small profit in. I should have held to my convictions, because I think Citi's going to go to 90. AMD, I called this out when it was down at $16, out when it was under 10. Now it's kind of finding resistance levels and pulling back. The SPY is always something to look at every day. You can trade that. So I'm adding and I'm subtracting to this list all the time. Now there's going to be a couple nice trades that are going to be bullish this week that I'm going to add to this list. Then I'm going to go through here and see if any of them that I don't like, I'm going to take them off. So grab you a good watch list. Follow them stocks every day. Learn the patterns of them. when you see patterns of a double bottom, or you see an inverse head and shoulders, or you see a head and shoulders, you might want to make a put. You see a cup and handle. You see, it's all about price, and it's all about the action. Is how I trade: price, action, and then low floats determines who's in the trade, what kind of float it is. If it's had any offerings, but if it's had an offering and there's good news behind it, that it's been running up. We traded ONCY last week. I got in on an alert from a buddy of mine, and I bought it. And then an offering came out on Friday, so I had a support level that I wanted to get out of, and the sucker, not ONCY, it's OCGN, this one right here. So I was in this trade and ran it all the way up, and then she had that offering. And I said, if it got below 10, I'm going to get out of the trade. Well, it had good news of COVID vaccine, COVID-19. And she went ahead and run up after hours. So this is going to be one that we're going to have to watch this week. Now, do I have it on my watch list? I don't know. Let me see. It should be on there. Where's my watch list? There it is. I've got to add that on there. Not ONCY. I keep getting that, William. OCGN. There it is, right on top. Look at the volume on that thing. 500 million in volume. I mean, this has got the volume. So like I said, price and volume. It's always a big determination to me. And it's already up, closed at 963, and we had a high after hours of 1150. So this is going to be, a lot of people are going to be watching this stock. Keep an eye on it, OCGN. But you got to keep that watch list active, and you got to clear out the bad crap and put in the good stuff. If it gets a bunch of bad news, take it off for a while. If you're in a losing trade and you like the stock, stop looking at it. Just because it'll mess with your head, and you don't want nothing like that to happen. I got Netflix in here. I'm going to add Netflix. Netflix had earnings and they weren't too hot, so we're getting down to a support level. I think it's going to be a good trade pretty soon. So let me move this over here so I can see what you all are doing. I don't have to keep looking over there. OCGN looks real good. How long is the delay? The delay is 7 to 14 seconds. And I try to put in, but when you type in here, they're sooner than that. So if I'm in a trade, I'm going to be typing my trades in the room or in here. And then if I can get a certain amount of followers following me on this YouTube channel, I'm going to go ahead and open up a room. Then I'm going to have like a little private club. I got a scanner, and I'm going to have a couple other things that are in there, and we can all communicate a lot better, more on time, and that's what you need. But for right now, I'm just going to be doing this live on YouTube for at least a couple, 3 months, and watch this account grow with me, and basically that's it. So let's go over some stocks you all like. You had plenty of time to copy and paste that watch list down if you wanted to. You can still. I'll leave it up here if you want to copy and paste it. Kind of, snip it. There's your beginning watch list for ones that don't have one. But if I've always, I've done lessons on creating a watch list, 5 steps of creating a good watch list. And I might do that again now that I'm back here on Washboardjim's James Howard YouTube channel. So I might be having one of these Sundays, we'll come in here and I'll do the 5 steps of creating a good watch list. being in the now, is one of them. Now, if for a certain sector, like I knew that EV cars were going to be hot this year, so I alerted that. That's definitely my number one watch list to go up in the marijuana sector. It's kind of cooled off a little bit. I figured it would be doing good, but better than what they are. They kind of come in and go out. So anytime you get a pop on the marijuana sector, you don't want to swing them stocks. You want to take your profit if you can find the support levels on them. Okay, so we've got 10 in here now. Welcome. This is did a little review on my challenge here. This is recorded, so you can go back after we're done and kind of watch a few things that I've talked about, how I'm doing my challenge. And I think it's just, everybody's got to have a strategy. So you got to develop your own strategy, but you can follow the strategy that I do and maybe add it on to yours. And I always talk about 5 steps of staying in and out of a trade. Everything's in 5 to me. The 5-day run, a 5-day pullback, 5 steps on a watch list, 5 steps to getting in and out of a trade. I want to have 4 confirmations to be very bullish on a trade. And we'll talk about that in later videos. I like to trade off the VWAP as an indicator for a support level or a resistance level. And I've got a video on it too that I just posted on StockTwits. Now down here on the bottom in the content area, if you haven't hit the like button, please do that. But down in the content, I do have my StockTwits and my Twitter account. So follow me on there too, and I'll be posting alerts and charts. And you'll see my, if you hit that like button and ring that bell, you'll get notification when I do come out with a different video, because I'll be doing short videos throughout the week of stocks that I'm watching, and pay attention to them support levels that I have on there. But this is Washboardjim's options challenge, and I'm not a novice option trader by far. I'm a beginner. I've been at it for about a year and a half, and there's still a lot to learn. But I like to keep it simple, and I have a certain strategy that's working for me right now. Later on, I'll be doing a lot of other different kind of options trading, but for right now, I'm going to get this count to 10 grand, and then I want to take it from 10 to 100,000, and if I can do that, I'll keep it going to 1 million. But the more money I get in it, the bigger the money's going to be, the bigger profit I'm going to take, or the bigger losses. But cut your losses short. If your gut's telling you you're in a bad trade, get out of the trade, or you're going to lose it all. I'd rather be in a winning trade and make profit than be in a losing trade and keep hoping. And this is not a place for hope. This is a place for change. So I never did like that slogan, hope and change, but I do believe in change, and I do believe you can better yourself. Hope is a guessing game. Change, you're getting things done. So let's go ahead and get back in stocks that you like, and we're going to start talking about stocks you like. I got 55 minutes to get that done. First one I seen up here was PLTR. RJ, you ready? Is your name McDonald? Or you just put that in there? I bet you're part of the rich family there. So we're going to talk about PLTR. PLTR is a stock that I don't care much for the CEO. I'll just tell you that right now. I think the CEO is a idiot. I would not be a CEO and tell people that there are better stocks to trade. And he did that. And I just went, and from then on, I just went, ugh. There's certain things you want to say, and there's certain things that you don't want to say, and especially if you're a very important person. When he said that, I just went, ugh. Now, there's a lot of bulls that like this stock, but it hasn't got anywhere yet. And I blame it a lot on the CEO on the way he talked. It had a nice little run, and then it's pulled back. So let's go ahead and clear this. I do have some resistance levels on it, but I want to clear this chart up. I mean, there's a lot of people that are just gung-ho about this trade, but it's been nothing but bearish for the past 3 months. We've had lower highs, and this is what you call a descending pattern. This could, drop again, but the momentum behind the trade, people are still going to keep buying on the dips, and that's the way I see PLTR. I've traded it, and I called it out in the room that I was in, and people thought it was going to go to 30, and I said no, we're barely going to be able to break 25, and hit that 25 mark, pulled back, and it got down in that lower 20s, 21 area. So the support level on this one right here, like I said, I'm just not too thrilled about the CEO. And we're going to draw a trend line right here. Now, let me see if I got the right chart here. I don't want to use this chart. I'm going to use this one here. I want to use my SMA chart. Then we'll go back to the yearly again. Now the yearly is going to tell me about the moving averages. See, we got way below these moving averages. This is not the right one. Yeah, it is. It just doesn't have the 200 on here yet. Yeah, so it doesn't even have the 200. It hadn't made a mark yet to even have a 200-day moving average. But we do have a triple bottom. The only thing that's bearish to me about it is the descending pattern. So we're going to draw us a trend line across that descending pattern right here. And that's going to go from right here to this base of this body of this candle right here. We're going to go to the right. We'll see where that takes us. Takes us right into the 50-day. That's the 50 SMA. So that's going to be your hard resistance to break. You go from the body of the candle, and then you extend it on out to the right. It runs right into that 50-day. So that resistance level is right there at 24.56. Now we're going to see if we can find a confirmation over here. We do have a double top that we could get to at that 25.45 area. Now, mind you, this could get some real good news and that thing could pop because there's so many people and the volume is so good on this trade. For me, I would buy it, at support level and run it up to this 25 area, 26 area, and see if it broke that double top. First, we got to break that 50 SMA on that year. Was going to cut me up an apple and forgot to do it. So we got another resistance level here on the body of this candle. We're going to draw us a little trend line across it. Let's go ahead and magnify it up. I can't do it right now. Yeah, I can. Right there. That 25.53 area. Then we got another one right here. This is how I draw them. And we almost had a confirmation. We do have a confirmation off the wick. So that's pretty solid, 24 bucks. Now you can see how consistent these here candles have been right in here. So let's go ahead and magnify this up a little bit. And we'll draw us a little support level right there off the bodies of these candles. See how we touch there, how we touch there, how we touch there. Then the wicks are all touching that area. So that's going to be like a solid pivot point area or support level. Then we're going to pull it back one more time to this lower body of this candle right here. Now there's other people out there who said they just love the CEO, but I just don't know. He turned me off real fast. I was watching him on CNBC. Kind of reminded me of Jack. Jack in charge of Twitter. He's another CEO I don't care much about. So we got our support levels and we got our resistance levels. We're going to try to break the double top, but first we got to break that 50 SMA. So you can go ahead and copy and paste this right here, right now, and use these as your support levels. This here's your pivot point, your 2321, and we busted past that pivot point area. So the next resistance is going to be right up in here. I'm saying we have to break 2346. We're at 2341 after hours. I'm looking at spinning top. We broke past that. So it's red candles, but they're looking a little bullish to me. So any kind of pullback, I think, will be a buying opportunity with that first support level, maybe your first entry at 2267. And if it pulls back, you're definitely got a strong buy down here at 2162. That's going to be your strong buy. I'm going to put that a red line right there. That was 3 days ago. So if it does pull back to that, that's going to be like a double bottom. That'll be a double bottom for an entry to run it back up and try to break this resistance level. If you're in the trade now, just see if it holds this support line right here at 2267. If that holds, you'll be fine, and you can take it up and try to break that 50, and that's going to be at 2453. So that's going to be another hard resistance. And then you got the double top. If the momentum picks up, you'll go ahead and get up to the double top, and if that rejects, that's where you want to take your profit. That number is going to be 2545. And that's how I see PLTR. And the next one, is that okay for you, RJ? Are you in the trade? No, you're poor. Well, you can, if you're poor, you can learn how to trade the options. Oh, you were talking about McDonald's. Okay. But that's one benefit about trading options. And let's look at the option on this thing. You know, if you want to go a month out, you want to look at the volume, and a lot of times you want to be in the money. So maybe this one here is the one you want to take. That dirt 167 would be probably your first trade because it's cheap. For one, you know, you're buying 100 shares, and this here trade would only cost you $167. Compared, if you bought 100 shares at $23, you'd be paying $2,300. More than that. Get my math here. 100 times $23. Whoops. That's, yeah, you'd be paying $2,300 for the trade. So that's why I like options so much, because your risk, you still have a risk. You know, if you don't get out of it before expiration, or it just pulls back on you, the volatility is a little bit more than it is in a stock. But yet you can hold a stock forever. An option you can't. So you could lose all that money, but your risk of capital is a lot less. I mean, you're putting in $166 in $167 in a trade that would cost you $2,300 to buy it outright. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. And then I'd be going a month out. They got earnings coming out on the 14th. So you got a good couple. This could be a trade into earnings. Trade into earnings. Now, if I come in here Monday and I wanted to take the trade personally, you know, I'd probably even look out to the 7th. Go out a couple weeks, and you can buy that same contract for a cheaper price. Or you can even take more risk and get it cheaper down here at 24. But I always like to look at that delta, and I like to look at that volume. And if that volume's looking good, you know, that's how. And I'm not an experienced trader, so you probably, if you are an experienced options trader, you're probably thinking this guy probably needs to know a little bit more about options. That's what part of this challenge is about, to improve my options trading. So I focus 90% of my trades on options now, and I scalp. I'm still scalping I just don't. I was in a room where scalpers were horrified. I mean, they didn't like the idea that I was a scalper. And I was watching them. I'm making money. I have a green day every day. They didn't have green days every day. So, you can look at it like that. I always like to come out with a green day every day. And I think I've had, in the past 2 months, I've had 4 red days where I just had to get rid of my trades. I probably lost about $2,400. The account would be up to about $9,000 now if I didn't have those 4 red days. And those were my mistakes because I kept hoping. And you don't want to hope in this game. Hope is a bad word when it comes, it's a 4-letter word that I don't like to say much. I like to change to the better, or change is where I am. So that's PLTR. And the next one we're going to look at is Piton. Piton had that issue with the child. And I had a support level under $200 or under $100. So we're going to look at Piton. I always like to know about the news. I like to keep in the now. That's one of my 5 steps when I get into a trade. I always have to look at the news before I get in the trade. It tells me what kind of trade I'm going to be making. If I'm going to scalp it, if I'm going to be bullish on it, if I'm going to swing it. The news changes with the media, because I think these guys up on Wall Street, these fat cats, are at war with the retail traders. They don't quite understand the market these days because it's not a fundamental market anymore. It's a price action market, and it's changed on them, and they've had to adjust. They're so set in their ways, like, well, it's not making any money, or why is the stock up so much? I mean, their forecasts were bad. Why is the stock up running up? We just got through a period. Last year was an experiment. COVID came in here and crashed the market because they didn't know how to handle COVID. So everybody hit the put and sold down to the market, to the Dow, to where it got down to 18,000. I had a $20,000 target. I also had 18,000. I made it very clear in the room when we were up there around 27,000. I said, this market's going to fall back to these 2 levels. And they did, almost precise. And when Obama was in office, we went down to about 6,700. And then all of his words started changing, and he started catering to the fat cats. And then they all got happy. And I said, we're going to go to 20,000 by the time he was out of office. And I was that close of hitting it right on. And then I figured if Trump would have had 4 more years, we'd be at 40,000. I still think we're going to go to 40,000. We're going to we have what you call, COVID came in and created a whole new economy. It's called the gig economy. People are going to be working from home. People are going to be traveling more and still on the job. People are going to be mobile. They're going to be able to live in the Bahamas and still work on their computer and still work for Google, or still work for Facebook, or still work for a lot of anything that has anything to do with computers, insurance agencies. I mean, you can just go, bankers, you can just go on and on and on. The IRS, they're working from home. A lot of people are going to be working from home. So last year was a great opportunity to learn how to trade stocks. So let's get back into Piton. I had a target down here of 98.52. What I'm saying is the market changes. I've seen it change during the Reagan years. I've seen it, Carter years. I've seen it change during the Clinton years when Al Gore invented the internet. I've seen it change during the Obama years. I've seen it change during the Trump years. And I'm seeing it change now to a greener. People are just going to There's going to be everything. Everything's been turning green. I mean, I think the government sometimes puts spoke wrenches in the wheel to where it makes it more difficult for investors to invest. But they're wanting to tackle us now. All these Bitcoin traders, he's wanting to tax you more than 50% on your earnings. A lot of millionaires. I think there's 167 millionaires made every day in the United States. I have many friends of mine that are millionaires now, just in the last year or two. I mean, multi-millionaires. And I can name their names off, but I'm not going to do it. But I think anybody that's been around long enough has seen that for evidence. Not in, then you want to wait for that pullback on PLTR. Now, like I said, there's a lot of bulls on it that love this stock, but it's not had its breakout that they've been looking for, and they're going to keep putting out videos and pumping it up. I'm not bullish on it. I mean, I'll trade it at support and sell it at resistance. So here we are at Piton. We had that 50-day. I'm talking about the same moving averages: the 200, the 50, the 21, and the 9 EMA. We had a triple bottom down here. We had a triple bottom. So this should hold. This support level should hold here on Piton. And that's going to be no lower than this $98 area. Now, if it does knife below that and start to get more bad news or something, and COVID was a big reason why this stock ran all the way from $30 all the way up to 171, because nobody could go out and do their exercising. So the elitist, the people that could afford building new homes and were wanting to buy this special. I mean, you've got your cheap ones, and then you've got your Piton, which is the Cadillac or the Lamborghini of all treadmills. And then they got social media involved, so they're teaching. You have lessons. You can sit there and look at your teacher, and you could be doing the same thing that you're doing on the Peloton. So I'm still bullish in the stock, and they're going to come out ways to improve, to keep it child-proof. Definitely, if they have to put a cage around it. But there's something wrong with it that's caused, a few accidents, and that's what brought this stock down. I think we can hover to the side, but the support level for right now is going to be that 98.04. Anything below that, I'm going to say down here right around $90. Maybe not right here, right there. Right down, just around $90 is going to be your low, strong buy. And if it does break on down and come down to 70 to 80, that'll be the load up territory. Now see, here's a chart pattern right here. You got your ascending triangle. Bam, bam, bam. Pull back to that 98. So that's the solid support. Bam, bam, bam. So if you could take this trade and maybe run it up to about 108. 108 would be your hard resistance. You'll start running up into these moving averages. And that 50 is going to be your hard resistance where you want to get out of the trade. So if you're following the 50 on the daily yearly daily, the 50 SMA, that's your exit spot. These are wonderful moving averages for beginners, for not the novice trader. So if you're having difficulty getting in and out of trades, have a chart set up like this. Have the 200, the 50, the 21 SMA, and then the 9 EMA. Jot that down on paper. So solid support to hold is going to be $98.50, $98. I got it $98.52 just so I can get into the trade maybe a little sooner. We did almost pull back to that when I called it up here at 116. Come real close to hitting it. Real close. So resistance level to break is 102.44. And then maybe red in, kind of juicy red in here. And 105.46. And then long to 108, 108.22. And always remember that 50 SMA for a hard resistance. There's another one right here. And then look at that. See? Bam, bam, bam. And then she runs right into that 50. So yeah, that 115.30. If it gets up there, that's where you want to take your profit. If you're a swinger. But for right now, we got to break this candle. If we break past this candle right here at 103, we'll definitely go up to this next level of 108. Then maybe run into that 200. And then final resistance level is going to be that 50. That's piton. OCGN. There are going to be a lot of people on this trade come Monday. A lot of retail traders. Well, I went out and did the man thing yesterday. There's an Asian massage parlor up at the mall. And I went in there a couple months ago. We had some clear weather and got a massage. And I loved it. And then I went in there again yesterday. And I fell asleep as she was rubbing my back. And when I got up out of the chair, I couldn't hardly walk. I knew it was a good massage when you get that dizzy feeling. And then the guy, and also I had footwork done at the same time. So this guy just pulls off my shoes. You know, I didn't even ask for a foot massage. And so here he is pulling off my shoes, and I'm going, what's going on? Someone's stealing my shoes? And he said, you want a foot massage? In Chinese language, $30, $30. And I'll give you a 15-minute foot massage. I said, okay, have at it. And I went out and bought some clothes yesterday. So I had like a little man thing going on. OCGN. We got to take this to the 20-day. Support level right down here at 965. That's where I think support's going to be to hold. If it does decide to pull back, that's going to be your solid support level right in here. And the resistance to break is going to be this 1121. Then you can run it all the way back up here to about 1257. So we're just going to have to see how it reacts. I think this thing can pull back at first, create a double bottom down here at 962, and then run it back up and try to break this resistance level of 1121. And then long, if it does break, you're a hard resistance at 1257. You see, we did have some support level. We had a triple top breakout right in here at 808. So yeah, this is going to be one to definitely watch first thing out of the gate Monday if you're if you want to day trade it or scalp it. Look at Boeing. You got any more tickers you want to look at? Let me know. Boeing to me is a great bottom play right now. The news has been pretty good. We've had a pretty good sell-off. And I'll talk about the 5 days. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now she's reversing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then that big sell-off right here. That was a strong buy at that area. And that's when I alerted it out to everybody. I said, we've got it down here. We're at a double bottom. Time to take the trade. And it ran all the way up to right around this level right in here for resistance level at 239. So that's the resistance that we got to break. We're going to try to break the double top. We have higher lows. That's a bullish pattern to me. From this candle here right to there. We'll extend this out to the right. And see how we touch down right in here? See how I drew that? I went to this one, to this one. I didn't go all the way up here. I just went ahead and extended it to here and then extended it on out. Support level on this trade. Boeing, your support level's right here, right around 236.56. Then you got another one right down in here. I'm looking at this pattern right in here. Let's magnify this up. See where we come across all the way down here? That's a support level. That's a pattern. That's what you call a small Darvis box. That's a small Darvis box. Support level is going to be right down at the bottom of that. Let's find an equilibrium. See right over in here, this candle right in here. Then we had a little support level and a little resistance level right in here. We have all these wicks. So we're going to draw this in right. Let's bring it up to the pre-market level right in here. And it runs right into that trend line. So that's your strong buy on Boeing. Right here, write that number down, 234.33. If you get within 20 cents of that, I'd probably load the boat. Then you got to think, where am I going to break resistance at? That's going to be this 239 where that double top was. And then we're going to fill the gap up here, and we're going to take it to 242. And this sucker's going to run back to 250. And that's Boeing. Any more trades you want me to look at? We'll just go ahead and do a little summary of the challenge, and we'll call it a day. So always remember, I'm going to be live in here from when the market opens. I get in here right about the time that bell rings, because I do own another business I got to attend to. And then I'll sit in here and talk to you all and go through a couple trades that I'm taking or how I'm taking the challenge, and that will start. And that'll be Monday morning, right when the bell rings to when the bell closes. And then I'm shutting it down, and if I want to do a video, I will. And I'll try to keep you updated how the challenge goes throughout the week. But for right now, I took 1,000 and I got it to 2,000. Then once I got it to 2,000, I took 1,000 out, added it to a cash account, and now we're at $6,700. And we're going to run this all the way up to 10 grand. The bigger the account gets, the little more risk I can take, and that means the more money I'll bring in. And if you follow me and you're not a novice trader, this is a good way to learn how to chart things, because you'll see me charting live throughout all day long. And then there's a slow period. I'll ask you if there's any stocks you want me to look at that you're in, or you want to be in, or you want my opinion on. And I think that's about it for the challenge. I'll let you all get back to your Sunday festivities. And this will be recorded. You can always go back and look at it. Let people know that I'm doing this challenge. Hit that like button if you haven't hit it already. Follow me on StockTwits and Twitter. And if I keep this going, I figure in about 2 to 3 months, I'll have me another chat room going and a website. I was one of the very first to start a chat room back in 2007. We called it the Penny Play. And then we created another one we called the Wise Guys. And then I created one called Wash Stock Watch. And then you know the latest one that I'm in right now, I Love Stocks, with Miss Vegas. And she's a good one to follow. She's the money flow queen. So keep that in mind too. And that's it. We'll catch you all later. Thanks a lot for showing up. We'll do this again next Sunday. And this will be recorded so you can go back and watch it. And I'm all for helping people out. And I learn my best teachers are the ones that don't think they know it all. The ones that have to make me look things up and make me study more. So I do appreciate you all. And I'm a retail trader, and I stand up for the retail traders. In fact, kind of gives you a hint of maybe my next room. Jeff, it's good to see you. Steve, thank you very much. Johnny, RJ, none of the ladies showed up today. Oh, Sandy showed up. Hello, Sandy. Do you have a stock you wanted me to look at? And I'm going to tell you what, you see me wear this cowboy hat. I used to play music, and I've had this hat ever since 2001. So this is my thinking hat. You might see me wear it on a bad day or even on a good day. And I've got fish hooks on it. I got guitar picks. I used to play in bands and used to go into band scrambles and band contests, and so I've been playing music for since 2000, since about 1996. And I've always had an instrument. I played drums when I was a very young child. But I played with a lot of underground bands. But this is my lucky hat, and I put it together. I painted it and put all my fish hooks and my bobbers on it, and I think I got a bobber right here. So we'll see you all on Monday, and make sure you hit that like button and ring that bell and subscribe, because when I put out a video, there are stocks that usually are momentum plays, and they're ones you want to watch or maybe get in. And I'll tell you where I think the best support level is on it. I'll let you know where the pivot point is and the resistance levels. And hanging around me, you'll learn my extended trend line pattern, how I called it the extended trend line pattern. And I can use those same trend lines over and over and over, years over. I've gone back 3 to 5 years and used the same trend line. But when they get all fogged up, I usually clear them out and start fresh. But this is Washboardjim's Options Challenge, and we'll see you on Monday. Monday when the bell rings. Right when the major bell rings, that's when I'm on here. And if you hit the like button and the notification button, then ring that bell, you'll get notification when I'm on. And I'm on most of the day. And I want to build up a pretty good following here. I want to get this up to 1,000 subscribers before I open up a room. I think I can do that. I've already added 22 in a week. So everybody have a good day. We'll catch you later. Again, thanks a lot. Let's make some money together.